our webinar on FM as an enabler for circular sustainability through collaboration. Sustainability is at the forefront of our agendas, and many of us already have ambitious environmental targets to combat global warming. Increasingly, we also see companies recognizing partnerships as essential for reaching those targets. Today, we will explore how we can, through collaboration, amplify our sustainability efforts through collaboration and drive us closer to our targets. My name is Hanna Cedervall, and I'm the Group Sustainability Manager at Core, a provider of FM services in the Nordics, and I will be your moderator today. Let me give you an overview of today's theme. We will discuss the drivers of carbon emissions, our footprint and the value chain impact, the workplace experience as a driver for sustainability, circular and sharing economies, and how we can collaborate to overcome hurdles in order to make this happen. And with me, I have an exciting panel of experts who will share their insights on collaboration to drive sustainability. Please welcome Maria Sandell, Head of Sustainability at JM, a project developer of residential buildings and residential areas. And today you will mainly have a tenant's perspective in these panel discussions. Please also welcome Mia Häggström, Head of Sustainability at Fabergé, developer of urban areas with focus on commercial buildings. And last but not least, Fredrik Sandqvist, Head of Innovation and Service Development at Core. And I would also like to invite you into the dialogue. So if you have a question, please write it in the chat box and we will address questions later on in the program. This webinar will also be recorded and sent out to you after. But now let's dive into the discussion, and we will start with the drivers of carbon emissions. So, Mia, what are the main drivers of carbon emissions related to the full life cycle of an office building? And do we know that today?
Yes, I believe we do actually. Previously, a few years back, we were mainly focusing on operational emissions, energy efficiency, and such heating, cooling, ventilation. But today, at least we at Fabege, we know that 90% of our carbon emissions are located in our scope 3, which means our refurbishments and new construction or construction. And out of that 90%, 80% comes from materials. So that's what we are focusing on right now at Fabege.
Thank you. And Maria, what focus area do you have right now in order to reduce your footprint in an office environment? And in which way does that also help others to reduce their impact in the rest of the value chain?
So as a company, we have the target to reduce our emission to close to zero by 2030. And so we want our office to reflect that, and also for us to be able to attract new employees. So when it comes to our office here, at our headquarters, for instance, we were really interested in having a high degree of circularity in the project. And that comes to both the furniture, interiors, and the kitchens, and also other materials. And we also want the office to reflect our vision with new types of materials and new meeting points, etc. So for us, it was really important that the office also contributes to our vision to lower the emissions in total of our company.
And Fredrik, do you have anything to add in this?
Yes, if I go back,
areas?
yeah, if I go back to the drivers of carbon emission, especially related to offices, I agree with Mia that said that okay, we focus on operational, carbon. Energy consumption has been a really focus area for a long time. But when we did our materiality assessment of our 4 largest offices, that only accounted for 5 to 11% of our total emissions. And in fact, what the assessment showed that also that the products and materials that we use have a huge impact, not only from a building perspective itself, but also from all the related furniture and equipment that we use in our office. And what made an even bigger concern related to that at this time, it was like in 2022, was that we were not using our offices as intended. We have the excess space, not using our furniture the way, pretty much due to the pandemic and the new ways of working and new expectations and so on. So we realized that we really needed to change the mindset in planning, procuring, and using the workplaces and start to optimize, share, repair, refresh, reuse to have that as guiding stars, basically. And when we're not using the spaces and the durables that we have, we need to make them available for someone else to use, basically. We also saw that commuting was a big part of our emissions in an office space. So in our assessment, commuting made up between 18 to 65% of the total emissions, primarily depending on the means of transportation in our offices. So needless to say, the assessment as such was a real eye-opener for us. Not just because it was an eye-opener, because we gained the insight, but also because we learned what it actually takes to gather that insight. There's a lot of data spread out there that needs to be collected and consolidated and so on. So we learned a lot from that assessment. From a more footprint perspective with Coor and the services we deliver, we have a net zero emission 2040, and again, a lot is connected to scope 3. So we really need to work across the value chain to realize that. And the biggest part in our deliveries is the food services, basically. It's like 40% of our emissions. So continuously working with minimizing food waste in our restaurants, steer shift towards more sustainable menus and also to actually get the guests to choose the best alternatives. That's a huge focus area for us.
And I can also add that to what been said, that I totally agree with that. The materials and the production of a new construction, that's of course our main climate emissions from our operations. So really the headquarters that we have been renting is really a small fraction of the entire emissions, but even so we wanted that also to reflect our ambitious work in total. So it's not to be neglected, the small pieces and parts also, even though the largest volume of emissions that we have are also related to materials in the scope 3.
Thank you. And if we walk forward and use the workplace experience as a driver for sustainability, Fredrik, how can office spaces and workplace design be a driver for reducing carbon emissions? And how can we collaborate even more to make this happen?
Well, first of all, I think we need to start creating experience that makes people want to go to the workplace, in line with the ambitions we have, both as real estate owners and tenants and service providers. Because if people choose not to, we will continue to have spaces, furniture, equipment, and services which are not used as intended. And that's really bad, I think, both from an environmental perspective, but also from a business and social perspective overall. Secondly, I think that by teaming up, we can actually create these experiences that not only enables people to make better choices, but also drive the behavior change that is needed to make it happen. For example, sorting waste in a correct way, make it more convenient for the users to take their bike to work, or even inspire and nudge them to choose the best sustainable food option in the restaurant and so on. And I also think we can use storytelling to influence people on a more emotional level, making them proud of actually working in buildings and workplaces filled with reused materials and products and services that are sustainable. So I think by combining the physical spaces with the services and products that are reused and so on, we have a opportunity not only to impact people at the workplace, but also when they go home. So I think we have a big opportunity if we start to collaborate more.
And Mia, from a property owner perspective, what's your view on this? The meaning that workplace design and workspaces actually can have an effect on reducing carbon emissions.
Well, like I said, we are a commercial property owner, and our customers' highest impact is either their commuting, as Fredrik said, or business travel, or the office spaces. So obviously we can be part of the solution by working together with our tenants, which JM in this case is a perfect example of. And also kind of use this journey towards net zero as a driving force of business as well for us as a developer, office developer, because as Fredrik said, it's important to show different kind of cases. It's important to show that a reused office or an office space where you have been working with prevent more than we usually did a few years ago, and show how attractive and good looking that kind of office spaces can get. Then and also with low carbon emissions, then you have I would say a unique selling point as well towards the customers, and I think that's what attractive, for instance, JM. Am I right, Maria?
Yes, exactly. I think your vision for this building was very much in line with our strategy and the focus and our internal work with sustainability. So that was actually one of our trigger points. And I also think that collaboration between tenants and property owners can also contribute to both companies' development of sustainability agenda in some places.
Definitely, and also together with architects and contractors, there are many we have to collab with to on this journey.
Great, and we have somehow already touched upon the subject, but if we look into circular and sharing economies, Maria, circular and sharing economies are often mentioned as vital for us to reduce carbon emissions. And could you please give us some example on how you apply these concepts into your work?
Yeah, so mainly the focus on circular and sharing economies are within our property development or the development of urban areas that we do for buildings. But in the office space here, the circular economy is shown by us reusing a lot of the interiors. So I think more than 70% at least of our furniture is recycled, and I think that also contributes to a cozy feeling here at the office, and some proud moments of recognizing, oh, this is the sofa that we used for this occasion, etc. So that also contributes to the employees being extra proud. And also circularity in our office space has been shown by the kitchens and cabinets and etc. So also some interiors that are not just furnitures. And this, as you may know, with this building also have a fantastic facade that Mia can probably tell you a lot about, but that is recycled. And so this also
Bricks,
makes...
yeah,
Yes.
recycled bricks.
Yes. So that also makes our employees extra proud, and I think the storytelling is really important also. We had like a introductional quiz here at the office when we first move in. So just to share the information about the sustainability in the office space so they can tell to their colleagues and also visitors how this office reflects our vision. I think that's something we can help out with our employees at least.
Yeah, that's a really good and interesting methodology to take with in terms of storytelling. I really like that. And Mia, could you please tell us some more from a property owner perspective, how you apply these circular ideas and circular methods?
Yeah, I think we got a question as well of what the drivers of carbon emissions are in a big office building like this. And I have some uniqueness of this project as a whole, not just the office space that, for instance, GM will be using. But I can share that with you if you want. It is the concrete that is the key in this kind of huge project. They are a great driver of carbon emissions. So in this project, as Maria said, we have a facade, a brick facade of recycled bricks. And it actually was Sweden's largest project with the recycled bricks at this point. We use climate improved concrete in our structures. We replaced steel columns with concrete columns. That's the kind of choices you have to make in this kind of project to reduce the carbon in the whole building. But as Maria said, it's important to work with both the whole building and build a story around that, but also every office space. At Fabege, we have also started a reuse hub, which is kind of unique. We were first in Sweden with this, and started also of an internal market with reused materials, building materials. So we have this space in Solna Business Park of 2,000 square meters, kind of like a warehouse with reused building materials, and also a digital marketplace for our project leaders, where they can buy reused materials for our project. So we set a target within Fabege, a circularity index of 20% in all our refurbishments or projects. We also have new ways of working, and we have this hub or physical market, physical area with materials, and we also have a digital marketplace. And that's how we actually have been going from talking about reuse and reused materials to actually doing it and making it a part of our development.
And Fredrik, a perspective from a facility management provider, how do you apply circular ideas and circular methodologies into your work?
Well, I think circularity specifically is a key for us to reach our targets in 2040. So we simply need to reuse, repair, and recycle a lot more than we do today. And we all need to practice what we preach, basically. So I'm so happy to hear this about the furniture, interior reuse, and so on, because we're actually moving into the same building as you, Maria, here.
Yeah.
In a month, and
Welcome.
that has been a real focus for us also. So when we're moving back to Solna, about 80% of the furniture will either be reused or purchased on the second-hand market, basically. And a real nice story about that is that many of the meeting room chairs that have been with us since the beginning of CORE, basically. So they're actually closing a 25-year loop when they arrive back to Solna, Haga Norra, where it all started. So I think that's an inspired story to tell. And many of our customers are also getting interested in circularity, and especially in the interior management area. And by teaming up, I think with real estate owners like you, like Fabege, which have hubs and things to where we can actually store things, by teaming up with suppliers, which can help us reuse, repair, and recycle, and by providing digital platform to market and buy, second-hand interior, we can help our customers as well in this. Another great example, I think, from our perspective, is our cleaning operations, because by using high-quality cleaning machines and products, materials, and so on, we can maintain them on a long-term time period, and even our cleaning mops can be reused over 500 times before they need to be replaced. And also today, in our laundry processes, we are already today saving energy and up to 70% of the water we use by recycling the heated wastewater over several cycles and so on. So, and that's just a couple of examples. I think over the coming years, we will need to leverage our supplier engagement program and our service development efforts to drive towards circularity in everything we do, basically. So circularity is really, really important for us.
And I hear there are a lot of methods and already a lot of examples that you apply already, and many great ideas. How can we use collaboration to amplify and speed up this process and to get the reduction of CO2 even faster? Mia, what do you say?
Well, we have to work together with our customers, and I think this is a perfect example of that with JM. We have to work together with architects as well to embrace the fact that we can create very attractive or cozy, as Maria said, office areas with reused materials, if we do it in the right time, I think, because there are still some obstacle when it comes to reuse, and obviously if you look at carbon emission, the best building project for the climate is the ones that we don't do. So prevent or keep, I can't find the words in English, planlösning. Could you help me out there, Maria or Frederick?
Layout, workspace layout.
Yeah. Workspace layout. Yeah. To prevent workspace layout is the most important. That's 1A when it comes to circularity. And then when we put in new materials, then we can work with reuse.
Maria, what do you say? What kind of collaboration can speed up the process to make it even more efficiently?
Yeah, I think that we have to work in value chains more, and not only within our sector, but rather also resource streams. So for wood, for instance, wood can be used in buildings, but also for furniture or for other purposes. So more looking into material streams and work with different industries that we may not have worked with previously. And to speed up even more, of course, it's really important that we bring this topic up and discuss and inspire each other and be open to new ideas. I mean, Fabege has done a really fantastic work here, and so why don't spread that word and and follow the ideas. And I also think it's possible to discuss even across sectors more. For instance. And something that is waste for us could be potentially a resource to someone else, etc. So we have, I think we have just started the journey with circularity in Sweden. We have quite few percentages of circular economy in Sweden compared to, for instance, Germany or Holland or so on. So we have a potential here, I think.
That sounds really promising. And Fredrik, would you like to add anything into this theme?
Yeah, I think first of all, we need to start sharing more data, and we need to be more transparent about the challenges we face, I think, and what kind of help we need from each other across the value chain. And I think office buildings and workplaces is a great place to start. Going back to we need, cross industries and so on. When it comes to workplaces and office buildings, it basically concerns all organizations, both private and public, and across all industries. So I think that's a really, really good place to start. And if I can go back to some of the value chain challenges that we have, going back to food, for example. Okay, we work with our suppliers. They are getting more and more transparent with their food and the emissions connected to that, which makes us, we can actually make more fact-based decisions when we plan for our dishes and so on. But we also need the users or the guests to start actually selecting and choosing the food that is environmental friendly. So
can I ask a question there, Fredrik?
Yeah,
is the transportation more important, or is what we eat?
No, it's what we eat.
Yeah.
That's what it's the same thing. The embodied carbon in the raw material that we use, basically. That's the big concern. So moving away from red meat, for example, is a huge thing. If we go over to greens and more poultry and fish and so on. So transportation is just a small portion of this. So that's one thing. So we need to engage the whole value chain. Everything from the guest that actually chooses the food to the suppliers that actually produce the raw material, and of course ourselves who actually select what dishes to put on the menu and so on. So that's one thing. Another part is, okay, if we look at our property services, for example, we need to start reusing, repairing, and so on there as well. Because the embodied carbon in all the products that we use in our deliveries and the materials and so on is an issue. So and there we actually need our customers to agree on that, to be using reused material. So it's an involvement across the whole value chain here, and we really need to work together to make it happen. Maybe through different kinds of business models and so on in the future. But we need to start to talk to each other, with each other, a lot more than we do today.
And set common targets.
Yes. And I think we have some common targets. We have
we do.
2030, 2040.
Yeah.
And that's coming up pretty soon. So we need to start talking to each other now, basically.
And start doing, not just talking.
And if you would choose what to start to do, what would that be, Mia?
Yeah, to set the common target, as I said, and then calculate, as Fredrik said, so we can learn, and then be transparent, as Maria said, look at the cases on the market, successful cases, and learn from them, and speed up the processes and be brave. I think we have to be brave in this case. We are moving in a new direction here, with new ways of working that we haven't tried before, and perhaps even new materials that we have not been using before. So we have to be brave, but it's important to set targets and to measure, and then start doing.
Maria, do you agree on the target part, and do you also have other things that you would like to start doing already now to really make this collaboration happening?
Well, I think I totally agree. We have to have targets, and most importantly, action plans and doing things. That's totally key. And focus on the right things. I mean, we have limited resources, all of us. So focus on what is most important, and start there. And at the same time as we discuss what's available today and what can be done today, we also have to have a focus on 2030 targets, etc. So work long term at the same time as short term. And I think actually collaboration is really key here, to try new products, new ideas, and be open to that. That's can be difficult, not at least in the building industry, where we want to be really sure, of course, of the quality and the outcome of the project in forehand, but trying in small scale and collaborate and share risks and opportunities between each other. And I also think that we can collaborate even across sectors when it comes to different ideas. I mean, I'm sure that Coor and Fabege has a lot of good ideas that I haven't come up with in our company yet, and potentially we have some things that we can contribute with. So I think this is really a good idea, to share ideas and be transparent.
Thank you. And I can see already that, yes, sorry, Fredrik.
Yes, and I think we have a great opportunity since we're moving into the same building here. So
yes,
I think we can start right away in this, in this panel, to actually start talking after this meeting or after this webinar as well. So I really think that if we can drive this, focus on the workplaces and office buildings, and drive good stories, start doing instead of just talking, and we can do it together, we will impact not only the workplaces, but also people when they go home and bring ideas with them and change behavior and so on. So we have a real good opportunity to start with ourselves, and in the small perspective, micro perspective, in the new building that we're moving into. So there's huge opportunities here, I think.
Thank you. I can see that we have a very engaged audience, which is great, and we have already a lot of questions. So I think this is a question both for Maria and Mia. I think, do you think the standard green appendix clause is a good start to do collaboration? Oh, sorry, a good start, or do collaboration need to be more comprehensive and material?
I think that that could be a start, but I think that collaboration is much more than the standard agreement. That is helping out with the ideas and sharing thoughts, and so that's more of a start with the agreements, I think.
I think so too. It's a start, and it's a way to make it happen. But the conversation has to be much broader than the standard green contract. So yeah.
Thank you. And another question is, and I think it's I think all of you can answer this, but especially both Maria and Mia as a connected to real estates and properties. Do you foresee any emerging trends or innovation in building design, materials, or facility operations that could significantly impact emissions over the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think what we have been talking to today is one of them. This about reuse materials. I think that's key for success. Efficient use of resources is what we have to focus on if we are going to be successful when it comes to reducing carbon emissions.
I think it's so lucky that we are now at a time where a lot of things happen in our sector. So happily enough, we see new startups with new technologies and new materials and new ideas that we as JM, we try these materials and we try them out, and that with the purpose of using them in the entire production. And we also invest in startup companies. For instance, when it comes to new types of concrete, new types of facades, new type of different materials, bricks, etc. So promising future in that, together with the circularity, I think we will lower our emission dramatically in the future.
We have really exciting times ahead of us. I can hear that.
Yes, I just have to add that green concrete is an area where that's moving really fast at this point. More use of wood perhaps, but I think green concrete is the future.
And I would also like to add less material.
Less material, of course, that's where we started.
Yes.
Yeah. And Fredrik, I think this is a question for you. Waste generated in office environment may not be the largest source of carbon emissions, but it is perhaps the most visible. Even the most amazing and sustainable office can seem less sustainable if it has overflowing trash bins. How do you work to reduce the use of single-use packaging for food and drinks?
All right. Yes, I agree. You know, waste might not be the biggest carbon emission driver here, but I do agree that the processes for waste handling and so on needs to be great in order to, you know, be able to tell the story, not least about a sustainable workplace and so on. When it comes to food and beverage, we're trying out several different, you know, systems of, you know, recycled material for takeaways and so on. So there's a lot of, you know, new startups coming up in that area as well. And I know we're trying out different systems in different countries and so on. So that's one thing, but it's also to put more, you know, demands and on our suppliers when they deliver, you know, the food to our restaurants as well, to reduce the use of plastics and so on. So that is definitely something, a really important area for us to look into and to actually be more systematic about, I think. So we're on it. We're looking for new solutions all the time, and we're trying out new systems as we go here. So you will see a lot more about that in the future.
I think we have time for one more question, and I think it's relevant for all of you. In terms of foster cross-sector partnership, as you mentioned, what are some successful examples of cross-sector partnership that have advanced circularity? Maria, do you like to start?
Ooh,
Tough one.
Yes, cross-sector partnership from other sectors. Well, I'm not sure really. I don't think I have any good ideas on top of my head at the moment, but of course. I know that the wood from our that is leftovers in our production, for instance, that is used for furniture from a furniture provider who produce furniture of that. That's an example, but of course there are a lot of examples from other industries that I'm not aware of. Maybe someone else knows.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, there's a huge potential here, at least. Mia, do you have any ideas?
Not straight ahead. Fredrik said that she had some.
Yeah, I think the new building that we're moving into is a good example. Now we've been involved in actually that building also when it comes to the restaurants and all the choices made in you know, the more common areas and so on, that we will also be delivering services. I think there's room for actually, you know, cross-sector collaboration, bringing FM providers earlier in the processes as well. I think we have hospital examples where we have been involved, you know, already from the beginning to select materials that are easier to maintain and so on over time. So involvement throughout the process, tenants, service providers, real estate owners, getting together, designing, you know, buildings, designing services and so on together, I think that will make a huge difference. So that's my, you know, advice from a cross-sector perspective, that we need to be involved earlier in the processes to make, you know, circularity happen over time.
Yeah, and also collaborating with municipality when it comes to infrastructure that will help our tenants and customers to actually choosing bikes, for instance,
Very good
when
example.
going to their offices.
Very good example.
Yeah, so not only looking into the closest stakeholders, but also widen their perspective into the full society, the stakeholders in full society.
Yeah, we need to, you know, we need to collaborate more across the value chain, but also across industries, I think, in order to make this happen.
And before we close, if we broaden the picture into the full triple bottom line perspective, what additional values do you see when collaborating regarding environmental sustainability at the beginning? But do you see any additional values into this if we look into the triple bottom line perspective? Maria?
Yeah, I think we can share a lot of ideas for not only within our main production, but also for how to inspire our colleagues. For instance, we could do like sustainability week together or something that is not needed to be within our company. So collaboration can be so much more than just looking into different materials, and of course that could be inspiring and interesting as well to evaluate new things together. But everything from inspiration to our colleagues to investigating new types of concrete and bricks could be interesting.
Yeah, what do you say about additional values that this might create?
Yeah, and for the companies or the partnerships that we have, each and every one of us can attract employees, I think, also by working with this. We have the possibility, I usually say 1 + 1 becomes 3 when it comes to partnership, and we often reach much further when working together. And as Maria said, we can inspire each other and also get new kind of perspectives that we didn't have before. So,
Fredrik, in one sentence.
Yes, I think, if you look at it from a triple bottom line perspective, I think, again, offices and office buildings are really important. We have the office for a reason, a business reason. If we didn't have a business reason for it, we wouldn't have an office. But the office is also supposed to be a social, part, people gathering, building culture and so on. That's part of the business as well. But now we're putting on the environmental perspective. So we really need to balance that. We need to start using our spaces. We need to design experience that makes people want to come in. And we need to make the spaces sustainable so they're not impacting the environment in a way that they shouldn't, basically. So it's both about, minimizing the carbon emissions, but also actually see to it that we utilize the resources we actually take, we actually rent or buy in a good way. So that was a long sentence, but triple bottom line is a very, very good, system to put on this perspective, I think.
Thank you so much for your valuable insights, and a special thank you, of course, to the panelists and also the audience for participation. And I think we can all agree that partnerships and collaboration is super important for us in order to succeed with our common goals in regards of reducing carbon emissions. And as we all said, all the three of us has all possibilities in the world to collaborate, since we will share the same building, and hopefully we will have some more insights and examples to share later on. We hope you found this webinar inspiring and interesting, and let's work together for a sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you so much.